The fact that I'm sitting outside barefoot on my patio right now is proving to me that I 1000% turned into that barefoot hippie that just lives in Colorado. Somewhere in the mountains, barefoot and vibing. Speaking of me living out here in Colorado and moving to the mountains, I want to talk today about outgrowing people that you kind of thought were going to be there in your life like forever. I know that we've all been in a situation like that. I know that we've all had situations like that. And I feel like it's always the people that you least expect, because you always think like, no, it could never be this person. Like, we're going to be together forever, right? But we are here today to talk about exactly that, the healing process through it, our experiences. If you are new here, welcome to the club of for learning and for healing. I'm your host, The Real Melby, and this is the Thought Daughter Podcast. Have you ever been in a situation when you had a friend that was like someone you grew up with? You guys were like attached at the hip as kids. You guys maybe had like a really cosmic connection when you first became friends, and you guys were just like this forever. And you guys will swear up and down that you're going to be in each other's lives forever. You guys are for lifers. This could be a friend. This could be a relationship even. But you were just so sure to yourself that this person is definitely going to be in your life forever. Nothing could ever go wrong. And then it goes wrong. I've been in situations like that too. It kind of makes you wonder, how am I going to grow past this when I had planned my whole life with or around this person? Or I always thought that this person was going to be there for me till the very end. I find that a lot of people are always asking, like, how do you cope with that? How do you get over that? How do you continue to have hope in relationships, hope in friendships when things like that happen? And I feel like a lot of people kind of struggle to find where to even start when it comes to something like that. I would honestly start by really digging deep to understand the aspect that some people are in your life for simply a season. Have you guys ever heard the phrase that some people are in your life as a blessing or a lesson? That's kind of what I'm thinking of when I say that. Some people are meant, to be in your life forever, but some people are only meant to be in your life for a season, or just for you to learn a lesson from. And that is a really key point to understand, because you will understand the temporary aspect of life and how some things are temporary. But I also feel like it will cause you to look deeper into certain situations and really see the lesson at hand. And something that you want to make sure to do is to honestly learn your lessons well, because the worst thing and the worst lesson to experience is honestly having to repeat the same old thing with the same people. Like, you definitely need to cut off people when life shows you it's time to cut them off, because repeating the same lesson with them is going to cause you so much stress, so much drama, so much unalignment in your own personal life. So definitely try to pay attention to those lessons when people end up leaving your life that you thought were going to be there forever. And learn it the first time, because you do not want to keep repeating the same lessons with the same people. I've unfortunately had a few experiences in my life where I tried to be extra forgiving, and I allowed some people a second chance in my life. And this is not me saying that you shouldn't give second chances, but definitely understand that if you had a really good reason for either cutting someone off, or it was a really good thing that somebody walked out of your life, please remember that. Please understand that, and do not allow people to come back into your life all willy-nilly, because that fucked me up a few times. I had let old friends and old people back into my life thinking that, the behavior had changed, and, they gave the whole like crocodile apology. But there was a really good reason as to why I cut them off. And the reason was so like grand that it should have actually 1000% trumped the whole idea of them even apologizing and like coming back. But like I said, I was trying to better my forgiveness, and I think I over forgave, because I ended up letting some people back into my life that did not want the best for me, that had their own manipulative intentions with me and my life, people that were codependent, people that were just really fucking toxic. And that 1000% is like one of my biggest regrets, is that I wasted time on people that I had such a good reason for cutting off and not having them in my life. And I let them back in, and they did the same thing as they did last time. And honestly, they kind of showed it pretty early on too. I feel like there was like signs that were like right there pretty early on. And all the times that I had done this, the people tried to like genuinely fuck up my life in a way that I had to depend on them, which again, not appropriate, okay behavior at all. And it really sucked having to go through that same amount of drama all over again, adding a whole new level of stress to my life when I should have just let them walk away. I should have just let them stay out of my life. And I should have stood firm on my boundaries, even if I thought that these people were like for lifer type people. Because the people of the situations that I'm talking about, I thought that they were for lifer type people both the first time and the second time I was a little bit like, I don't know, but they kept trying to prove that they were for lifers, right? And for a second there, I almost believed them. And then they did the same pattern again. And I'm like, nope, you were still the same person. But when it was the first time around, when I first met these people, I first allowed these friendships and stuff into my life, that was the energy. I was like, these are my for lifers. We had gone through so much together. We had known each other for a decent amount of time as well, and we had been there for each other. It was probably more of a trauma bonding experience, if I'm being completely honest. But regardless, is that I thought these people were going to be in my life forever. And then one day they weren't. One day I was never talking to these people again. They're blocked on my phone. And I can only sit there and think to myself, like, where and when did everything go wrong, right? But then that's when I started to, really sit in my healing and realize, maybe these people weren't for lifers. And like, how do I overcome that part? Because what it is really is it's grief. You are grieving the people that you thought would be forever. Like I said earlier, you might have planned your whole life around or with this person. And then when it comes to the day that they're not there, you don't really know what to do. You kind of feel like you're in this weird limbo space, like there's something missing. And that's when the grief starts. Obviously, because, there's serious grief when it comes to losing people. But I need more people to understand that, that is a part of like grief too. Because the connection I feel like has to be so special for you to really look at a person and say, like, of course, this person is going to be in my life forever. I want them in my life forever. I don't really know if I could like think about a life without them. And then the next thing you know, you are basically forced to live a life without them. So like I always say, take your time, be gentle with yourself, because that is a lot to deal with. And it also might mean that you have to create completely new plans and new identities, new hobbies, or new whatever in your life now because something's missing, that maybe you were going to do a lot of these things with that person. Or maybe both of you guys plan that thing together and you don't really want to go now or do the thing because you feel like it might remind you of them. And all of that's okay if you do not want to surround yourself with that, but understand that you don't have to just have like an empty space there. You can plan something and you can put something new there. You can put something that aligns more with you in those slots. And it's also completely okay to acknowledge that something like this sucks, especially when it's the aspect of outgrowing and not necessarily something bad that happened. Because something I feel like we do not talk about nearly enough is how sometimes we just outgrow people. People end up maturing in completely different ways. As we get older, as we have more life experiences, you start to kind of change your morale a little bit more. Maybe your mindset shifts. Some people mature at a faster rate than others as well. So there is also a lot of grief when it comes to outgrowing someone and nothing bad necessarily happened. You two are just growing in different directions on different life paths and things just aren't aligning anymore. It can still suck because you'll sit there and think, dang, like I really used to be like this with this person and now we're kind of more like this, Because outgrowing someone doesn't always have to mean, cutting them off, especially cutting them off in like a bad or like dramatic way, but it could just simply mean you guys went from being best friends to acquaintances. You guys went from talking and hanging out every single day to now really only talking, hanging out maybe a couple times a year, maybe even hanging out if that. But understand all in all that it is totally okay for you to outgrow people, for you and people not to align, and understand the difference between taking space and cutting off. I think a lot of people, they take space from certain things that they just need a moment with, but they can end up, forgiving and like working through things. I view that as taking space. I view cutting off as if you did something so bad, you did something so fucked up that it is like an automatic cutoff. It is a violation. There is no re-entry. You're done. Many harder lessons, but many amazing outcomes on your healing journey. Trust me, we're going to have lots of ups and downs. Healing is not linear. And I feel like that is honestly the best thing anyone can hear is how non-linear healing is. It's going to have its tough lessons. It's going to have its wonderful, peaceful, liberating, free moments. But take the whole process of outgrowing people, cutting people off, forgiving yourself, all of the things that we've talked about. Take that whole process and really cherish it for what it is. Thank you guys so much for listening. I will have the Spotify link for the Spotify channel linked down below in the description. Make sure you guys follow me on TikTok and Instagram so you can keep up with my life and all the things that I do. Also, check out the link in my bio. I am not going to be posting it there, but it has all my links to everywhere that I use social media wise. My clothing brand shop, my Instagram, my TikTok, the YouTube, the Spotify, anything and anywhere you can think of to find me, go find me. I love you guys so much. Stay cunty, make money, and ask so many fucking questions. I love you so much. Bye.